So hello and welcome to Limitless You Talk with me, Katie, and today I am delighted to be joined by a fellow coach, someone that I've known since 2022, I want to say, in the coaching world, the coaching space, both as clients in the same coaching program at one point, both as clients in a business mentorship. So yeah, I think that's how I could describe me and Mel getting to know one another. But I'm delighted that Melanie Duncan, I had to get your married name, Mel, because I knew you before and after you got married. And Mel is owner and coach inside Adapt Coaching. And that's kind of predominantly how we got to know each other in that crazy mad world. But not only that, you are also a wife, you're also a sister, you're also a daughter, but you are also recently a mum. And I think that sums up all of your titles in the one. But before we kind of get into things and why we're having this conversation today, like I know a lot of the kind of strings to your bow that you've got, because I've seen you go through all these changes and these massive life changes. But to kind of set the tone or kind of set the scene for our conversation, like who would you describe yourself as, Mel?
What a question to kick off with. I would describe myself as quite outgoing in a sense where I don't just settle for something that's like, if something doesn't feel quite right to me, or if I start to feel like I couldn't see myself doing this for the rest of my life, I'm going to change that no matter how uncomfortable it feels. And I've probably went off on a tangent there, but yeah, so outgoing in that sense where I feel like I can face discomfort quite easily, probably a bit too easily.
Well, I wish I could. I wish
just
I could.
just in life, like I'll put myself into positions that's very uncomfortable, but I know that it will be good for me in the long run, and I know that it'll take me to new places. So courageous,
What's that? That's a big word. I don't know if I could
that is.
spell that word courageous, but I would definitely agree with that. You've done high rocks. You've done
Mhm.
all these challenges and everything like that, and yeah, I would say you're definitely someone that I would definitely say, how can you do that? I have probably asked you that in the past, but if you were to take me right back to how finding discomfort easy, where would you say that it all comes from and where it all started from to make you be courageous in that position today?
It's always kind of boiled down to work and like my work ethic and where I was working, who I was working with, and who I was surrounded by, and all that kind of stuff. Um, from years and years ago, feels like a past life, to be honest. It wasn't that long ago, I'm not that old, but it feels like a very long time ago. I worked, as you know, I worked for the NHS for a long time. And even way back when, like, I started off as a cleaner, before I even got into pharmacy. Um, there was a point where I was a porter and I would take the dead bodies to the morgue. So there you go, we've got a connection
Mm,
there as
good. Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
And I would do like emptying bins and all that. And there was always a part of me was like, I'm just so much more than, like, I have got so much more in me to give. I can't just be here. And I knew that I lived in quite a small village, and we were all kind of like, you know, everybody knows everybody, and you're all kind of like
Oh
getting your
yeah.
ways and that kind of way. So moving out of that kind of comfort, and going elsewhere, it was like such a big thing, especially I think when you're like in your teens or going into your 20s. You think you know everything at that age, don't you? Think you're an adult, but it was a scary thing. But it did not bother me. I was like, no, I can't be stuck here forever. I just couldn't. And that's probably where I can remember once I get into pharmacy, and I was there for a wee while, and I can remember a pharmacist saying to me, "It would be the best thing you ever do to move to Glasgow," and it was. See,
Oh,
moving just out of that kind of the village
the,
and the small knit community. Um, but even before that, see, before I get into pharmacy, I had my heart set on getting into pharmacy, right? So I was cleaning wards, I was emptying bins and all that, and one of my friends had got a job in pharmacy, and I was like, I'm getting a job in there. I'm not going to stop until I do. I went for like an interview 10 different times,
Wow.
and get knocked back, and I just kept going back, and I was like, I'm not stopping until I get this job. So it's kind of like that. Like if I get something in my mind and I want to do it, I will make it happen, even if it takes me like a long time to get there. And I did, and I got in, and I managed to then work my way up through the ranks there, until I was like, right, done with this.
I've
What am I
had
doing
enough now.
next?
Yeah, what's next? Yeah, you've ticked the
Right,
box.
get more to give now. So, aye, that's kind of like where it stems from. Even when I was younger, I can remember being so desperate to get a job and have my own money and have my own kind of like freedom. And I was young, I must have only been about 15 or something, and I wrote a CV and I printed it off
Oh.
millions of times, and I went round every shop, every place of work that you could possibly think of, and gave it in and was like looking for a job. Get any
You
jobs.
you think about the amount of 15-year-olds in Scotland, for example. Now, I went out to work when I was 13. I like to say I got forced out.
Aye, I
Parents,
did a
on the
wee bit
other
as well
hand, say,
before
like,
that.
no, it teaches you responsibility and you get pocket money with it. But, like, there's not a lot of 15-year-olds, especially in Scotland, that would have done that.
Mhm.
Or, like, going for the same interview 10 times and get knocked back. I would go once, cry,
Aye,
and oh,
I cried.
mum,
I
like,
cried a
yeah.
lot.
But it would put me off going back. So there's your levels of resilience seem to just
Hmm.
like shine through. That's the vibe that I'm
Yeah.
getting at from it.
I did go out and work. I my mum used to always say you always pick like the rich best friends. I had a best friend and they were like loaded compared to us, and they bought me a ticket to Florida for my birthday. Right,
Wow,
that's that sets the
not
scene
bad.
there.
Yeah, not
And
bad.
my mum was like, "We can't afford to give you your spending money for that holiday. We've not got that money to give to your brother and sister." So I went out and worked. So I worked in the wee shop up the road between 6 and 8 in the morning before I went to school. And I must have been about 14, 15 then. Um, and I saved up all my wages for doing that wee job, and and I took that. They obviously did give me money, but I was like, they were doing it for a reason, just to kind
Yes,
of show me the
absolutely.
value there. Um, and I had a paper round and all that. So that just gave me a wee taster of it. And then so when I stopped doing that, I was like, I need a job. I need to do this. And I was like, not going to stop until I got one.
So when you kind of you ticked all the boxes in pharmacy and you were like, right, okay, what's next?
Mhm.
Why coaching?
So it was partly because of pharmacy. So going through your qualifications there, you need to learn about like physiology, the body. You get a lot of stuff like that you need to learn about. And then obviously you're in wards, you're working with people you see people who are very unwell, but then you see people who are unwell because they don't look after themselves.
Yeah.
And your eyes are opened, or my eyes were opened to the fact that it was very much something's wrong with you. Take these tablets, away you go and go on with it, rather than trying to get to the root cause of the problem. It was just being masked with the tablets, so that began to bother me. And I was always kind of like into my fitness and stuff, and loved going to the gym and things like that, but it was more that side of things where I'm like, my love for fitness and working out, and I had my own fat loss journey and all that as well went on. I just thought, I would much rather help people this way, because there's people taking up all these medications who really don't need it if they just got themselves into a position where they're a bit fitter and healthier. So it was kind of like that was part of my mission. And I also was like, I can hear the government taking all the money for all these tablets, so I'm going to try my
You're
hardest to
like
get
me.
loads of people off them.
You're like me, like, yes, yeah, this shouldn't be happening. So did you
Aye.
feel that you then kind of found a sort of unintentional responsibility to the people that, as you say, weren't looking after themselves? Because I always think there's two ways of looking at, especially with you, like you've seen firsthand being in the
Mhm.
wards of people not looking after yourself, but then when you were working as a porter and you were having to take a deceased that had sadly passed away and take them into the care of the mortuary, that okay, we're not saying, or we're not medical people that are saying things could have been prevented, but there could have been a life there of that person that you've got the responsibility to transfer from, in their
Mhm.
last times to transfer, if you like.
Yeah.
So did you feel there was a responsibility because you thought you can make a difference here?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say responsibility, but it was more, see that like determination, that drive. It was more that like passion to be like, I can make a difference here. I can actually like teach people how to do this where they don't need to just go to the doctor and take these tablets. Obviously, there's a place for it. Obviously, there's people that are really not well and the medication
Absolutely.
helps, and
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
like totally dissing that. but there's a large majority of people who don't need it. And the frustrating part of the job, I was like, you don't even need this. You could just sort yourself out if you just ate properly and bloody exercise.
Went for
That
a
kind of
walk.
side it.
Yeah, yeah,
I like so
yep,
it's just it's converting that frustration into something that was more positive. So whenever I had clients who were like, Mel, I started and I was on all this medicine and now I don't take any, like that
yep.
was like always a huge one for me.
Yeah, I see. I was the same. Like, see, and I'm very much somebody that was on quite a lot of not quite a lot of medication, but quite a few medications for somebody of my age.
Hmm.
And through helping my clients, I realised, oh, wait a minute, I actually don't need to be on that either. So like,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
it then allows you to sort of look at yourself as well as looking after others, and through all that, you become Coach Mel. You have your own gym for a period of time. You go fully online. You've helped so many women. You've just grown probably beyond what you ever thought you
Oh
could.
yeah.
And now, when I did my stalking, as people are probably realising listening to my podcast now, that I stalk everybody that I have on. But coaching career-driven women, I think so far from like the conversation we've had, that definitely comes through. And you've, from your background of you were that career driven woman, you like, Mel was going to be a pharmacist no matter what Mel had to do to become that pharmacist. So do you feel that that's something that you can really help, like the career driven women to be better? What is the outcome, what is the reasoning to, or the, I suppose, the goal of that career driven woman that says, Mel, can you help me please?
I think over the last couple of years, what I've realised is you can only help your clients grow as much as you
Yeah.
grow yourself. And I've spent a long time doing a lot of work on myself, and would like to think that, yeah, I've got the career, I'm very career driven, got a kid, I've got all the normal stuff that people have, and I'm passionate about helping people realise like it is doable. We're not superwomen, and I've thought that I have been superwoman this year.
You're bursting my bubble now. You are bursting
Right.
my bubble. I think
We're no
I am.
super, right? So that's I've learned that hard way this year because like I genuinely thought I could do it all, and I've had the harsh reality this year of, you know, we can do as much as as much as we can do, but there's a line to be drawn, and it's that side of things that I think that I want to help career-driven women with as well,
Mm-hmm.
being able to adapt to their new situation, be able to adapt to like the shit that life throws at you, but also still be able to look after yourself, be kind to yourself, show yourself some compassion, and actually allow yourself to like recognize when you need to pull back and when you need to take a wee bit of rest and let your like mentally have a wee bit of rest as well. Because our mental load as a woman with all the stuff that we need to do, it's mental. Literally
Mental being, yes, I
mental.
would probably say we're understating that.
Aye.
And I think, I mean, I know some of the adversity that you've had to experience and go through. I do follow you and stalk you. That's just because when you know one another and we've shared conversations throughout the years, it's, yeah, you do get to know when we're not feeling as good, or we're,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we're realizing. And you've been very open about your journey this year. And when
Hmm.
you were saying about you've now got a kid, that kid is a wonderful, little angelic. Mel might not agree with that sometimes with the conversation we had before we started recording this, but Elsie, one of
Yeah.
your biggest life changes that, I
I was
remember the
not
day you
prepared for.
announced you were pregnant, and you were like, "Well, I'm pregnant." Oh, all right, okay, that was unexpected,
Hmm.
and everything. And now you're a mum, so it's one of your biggest life changes that you've had and you've gone through. And and obviously realizing, as you said, this year you've had to learn the hard way that you're not superwoman.
Hmm.
What has all of that taught you? What's your biggest takeaway from it all? Now that you're mum,
Oh,
Mel the mum.
there's been so many, honestly, there's been so many. It has been literally been a roller coaster. Like in the space of a year, I fell pregnant. I moved from being an in-person coach to an online coach. I got married. I moved house. I had a baby. Like I literally done all of that in the space of a few months, all whilst like running a business. So when I had Elsie, I only took 2 weeks off and I went straight back to work. Right. So and 2 weeks is not enough time. If there's anybody listening to this, it's having a baby. You need
Yeah,
more
more
than
than
2
2
weeks.
weeks. Yeah, okay.
If they can take anything away from this, it's that. But there's so many lessons that I've learned this year. It's hard to pinpoint one. Sleep is the absolute, like, if you do not have your sleep, you can literally go crazy. It can drive you crazy. I have felt as if I've been losing the plot at some points this year because I have never been so sleep deprived in my whole life. And I don't know, it makes you feel ways you've never expected at all. I don't even think you can prepare for it, to be honest. If you don't have a child that sleeps and you need to get up and work the next day, the baby brain, the brain fog, all the stuff that it brings with it, the hunger, because you know when you're not sleeping properly, your hunger hormones all over the place.
Yeah.
Trying to manage all that, and then you've got all the emotions of like after pregnancy and all your hormones are trying to get back to normal and your body's trying to get back to normal. In the meantime, I'm like training for high rocks, like
Yeah,
as
as you
if it's
do. Yeah,
nothing, right?
as you do.
And then straight into like a half marathon and all that kind of stuff, which I never done. But so biggest lesson is like sleep is the absolute be all and end all of everything. You need your sleep.
Yeah.
The next one is like that, like you've got nothing to prove. Well, I feel as if because I was a coach and I was having a baby and running a business, it was as if I had to prove that I was capable of doing it all.
Who
When
were
really,
you trying to prove to? Do you know?
probably myself.
Yourself?
Probably myself, aye. But at the same, I think I'd convinced myself that I had to prove it to everybody else. Nobody else cares. Like
Yeah.
absolutely
Yep.
nobody else cares, and that's another big thing that a big lesson that I've learned is like the judgment you think other people are making on you is it's only you that's passing that judgment on yourself.
Yeah, we're our own
Nobody else
critic.
really cares.
Yep.
Yes, because everybody's in their own wee bubbles. And when you think somebody's judging you for something or think you're maybe incapable or whatever, really, they don't care. Like you're not that big a deal.
Yeah, you're not that important. Yeah, okay.
You're
Yeah.
just not that important. So if you just reel yourself back in, I could have prevented putting a lot of pressure on myself this year had I've learned that lesson prior to like having the baby and trying to juggle everything. And yeah, that was a big one.
So I want to go back to, you basically took paternity leave. And if we go into Scottish
Me and
law,
Ross
right?
went back to work at the
Yeah,
same time.
paternity leave, like what was it like? Do you remember going back your first day after? I'm just curious now, like how do you remember it? Was
This
it a
whole
blur?
year
Was
has
it
been a blur.
been a
The
blur?
whole year's been a blur. Because she wasn't sleeping. And I had breastfed for the 2 weeks, so I was up. I probably had no sleep for the 2 weeks that I did have off. And I didn't sleep before I had her either. Like, so at the end of your pregnancy, it's always uncomfortable and you don't really sleep. And they say it's your body getting used to getting prepared for what's to come.
Yeah.
So I would say literally for like a good few months before I even had her, the sleep was like gone. But going back, it was just, but I think it was that the drive, see what I'd said at the start, like that determination, like I can do this, I can do
Mm-hmm.
this. When really I should have been like, no, you can't. You're shattered and you need to take some
You
time
need a
off.
sleep. Yeah, you need
You
5
need a
minutes.
sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aye. But no, me and my determination. And that's what I meant when I say I could put myself in places of discomfort and it's probably not always a good thing
Yeah.
because I've caused myself a lot of stress and I've probably gave myself a few more wrinkles and grey hairs this year that I didn't need to do. I had a
So now that you're 14, almost 14 months into
mhm.
being mum, and with Elsie, where would you say your determination is now?
It does change. It does definitely changes because then you become this like you want to. For me, it's like I need to be the fittest, the healthiest, and look after myself as much as I possibly can in order to be the best person for her.
Mm-hmm.
You want to. I basically always had the mindset of I need to do as much work on myself, like behavioural, emotional, getting all my kind of emotional intelligence as best, but like as well as I possibly can have that, so that I can pass this stuff on to her, so that I can then bring her up in the best way possible. Because I think a lot of the time, our mums and dads, their mums and dads, nobody really done that work on themselves way back then.
You weren't allowed to
at all,
mention it.
ever, right?
It's a big taboo topic, I think
Yeah,
we can definitely say. So that's why even now they probably don't understand what we do,
exactly.
you know.
And now we're in a position where we've got information and knowledge at the touch of a button.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for me to like utilize that and to try my hardest to break that cycle, to make sure it's things are done a bit differently when I'm bringing her up. So very much, it may sound quite selfish to some people. I don't think it's selfish at all, but very much like I need to do the work on myself as much as I possibly can, because I know that it will affect her in the best possible way, like going forward.
I don't think that's selfish. I think it's
No,
selfless.
aye,
Because at the
definitely,
end,
because it's hard.
as you said, it's you've changed, and you've changed because everything's for the benefit of Elsie, for your family, for the lessons that you've learned throughout, who you've become, and as you say, like
Mhm.
you know, done this, or maybe it's not a good thing being as determined as you've been in your work ethic, but you've only learned from all of your experiences that no matter what, you can teach Elsie through your
Yep.
experiences that you've had. And, being a coach is the same thing.
Oh
What
yeah.
would, because I always say, like, if I put my coach's hat on and I would be like, Mel, what would you say if you were coaching yourself? If you were the coach to Mel, so you become
Mhm.
like your own client, like what would you say to yourself right now?
Like I'm probably in a better place right now because I've had some sleep recently. But 100% for me, it was I'm very like critical of myself, very so that that wee voice in your head. Well, we have two voices, but the one that overpowered the wee arsehole voice that like very
Oh
critical
yeah,
tells you
yeah,
you're shit at everything. That one was very loud at points, and yeah, being kind to yourself, listening to the voice, hearing it, but not actually believing everything that you hear
yeah,
in your head. And taking a step back and actually looking at the bigger picture of like what you're doing, because I think you can get very caught up in the moment and you can get very caught up in the wee kind of day-to-day stuff when really you're like, look at everything that you have just done.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's mental. Like nobody's doing all this stuff. Like why are you putting pressure on yourself to do more? Um it's more, I would say, the show yourself a wee bit of compassion, self-care and all that. And you've probably seen that in my social media posts. I
I
have went on
have,
about
yes.
that a lot. Um, because I do feel like as women, once the children come along, it's very easy to like just feel as if you need to just keep go, 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 go. And when you don't stop and show yourself a wee bit of compassion, it's actually show yourself like, look what you've done. You're doing great. It can get very grim very quickly.
If you don't push push through, I'm imagining, yeah, you don't challenge yourself
It,
to keep on going.
no, if you don't challenge yourself to actually slow down a wee bit and
Ah,
actually
okay.
like take a wee break and
Yeah.
get, like what you're doing, because there's so much like when you've got a child. Honestly, before I had her, there would be days where you're like, oh, I've not got enough time in the day. Now I know what that actually feels like.
Yeah,
Now
well,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
holy fuck. I've definitely not got enough time in the day now. But aye, with everything that you need to do, your mental capacity is just so full. Like it's just overloaded constantly. You end up overstimulated. You end up just there is days where you feel like you're losing the plot. And if you're not able to show yourself some compassion and allow yourself to pull back at times. So like now I'll schedule in a mental deload week. I have to have
yeah.
that
Mhm.
just the same as we do with physically. It's so important for that mental one as well, where it's just for business, it's just the basic tasks that get done. There's no building, there's no like big projects, there's nothing like that happening on that week. And that's where I would schedule in some self-care and different things like that. It needs to be done because it's crucial for me.
And did you always kind of, was that only a recent thing bringing in your mental deload week?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's only kind of happened this year. And then it's not until like I've started doing that, I thought this is something that everybody should do. Not just like because I'm a mum now and some like stuff like that, but it's a game changer because after you've had that week, you feel ready to hit the ground running and you can have a big work block where you get far more
You're
out of it.
energized.
You just feel like, and you want to, because it can get to a point where it's a slog and you start to resent things that you once loved. So having that mental deload week scheduled in just is a game changer for me.
And as Elsie gets older, Obviously,
Mhm.
she's only about 14 months just now, but as she grows up into a young lady, into a woman, into an
Mhm.
adult, what, if using your experience as a coach, using all of that, like what lessons would you like to teach her, to give her every opportunity to, I'm not saying replicate all the challenges that you've done and the challenges that you'll do
Mhm.
in the future, but to ensure that she experiences something similar in her own ways. Like what
Mhm.
would you teach her about that?
So I probably can't answer that because I'm going to be very much like I let her guide me to like what I need to then show her.
Ah,
So
let
it'll
her be
be
in the driver's seat almost. Yeah,
yes.
okay. Yeah.
So it'll be very much so over this last year, on top of everything else. I've done the built to coach course. I don't know if you've heard of it. And it's very much the psychology behind the coaching and stuff. And from that, learned a lot about myself, but I've learned a lot about how to coach someone based on them specifically as a person. There's no one size fits all. And I will basically use this stuff when it comes to my relationship with Elsie as well because we've all got our own personalities. We've all got specific traits that we're a wee bit higher in. Based on whatever her traits end up being, then I will go with that and I will go with the flow, but I will very much let her guide me. I think it's very easy, and especially as a parent, to have your biases about things.
You're
You have your
making,
opinions.
you're making something and be like, I've never heard somebody, or if you've been having a conversation, now you get those people like, oh, I'm going to teach my kids this, or I'm going to do, like, I've never heard it this the way you're describing it, the way that
Hmm.
you've learned. That's not just something you've picked out of a hat or
No,
something like that.
that's
That's
another
real.
one,
It's
another
a
lesson
really
this year.
it's a really curious point of like,
Curious. That's
if
the thing, is
yeah,
curiosity. I'll just wait and be curious as to how she's going to develop, how she's going to grow. And I'll be there to guide her, but she will very much be in the driver's seat. Because I think it's very easy for you to say, all right, I'm going to make sure they do this, this, and this. But 9 times out of 10, I think when people do that, the kids do the opposite.
I did.
You know,
Yeah,
I and I
yeah.
think we all did at some
My mum
point.
wanted me to be a ballet dancer, and yeah, I
Uh,
did do the ballet dancing, but in the end, it was the compromise was going to the ballet dancing and the football kit because I wanted to go and play football.
yeah.
So basically, that's turned out that I'm not a ballet dancer. Had all the scholarships in the world I could have had, and I did not want to do it.
No.
So I do you know what I was actually thinking there off the top of my head? I was like, do you not wish that we had a bit of that?
Oh, 100%. I think everybody does, even like our
Hindsight, a
mums and
wonderful
dads
thing. Yeah.
hearing this stuff. Like my mum's part of my program, so you'll have seen her on my social media as well.
So was
And
mine. Yep.
so
They've got to be
so
done.
like it's all like a big learning game for her as well. Like, I'm teaching her stuff because like we're going through this process with coaches, and oh, so she is at least making use of it, and now she's putting herself in a position where she is learning this stuff, and then can hopefully like introduce that into her life as well. But there's so many people out there that are just, I think they just think, oh, cool, this is just the way it is. When things can change, like we all have the control over what direction we want to go in and what changes you want to make to your life.
Yeah, in fact, we were talking about that coming on the call because I was said to you at first, like, I want to be a coach in the funeral industry. I want to help it, and I was saying to you that unexpectedly, there's more
Hmm.
opportunity being for that this year, and I'm more involved in a well-being side of things, and you don't know what's around the corner. Like you really, really don't. Is that where you get like? Is that where you got the adapt coaching from? Like the word adapt?
Yeah, yeah, because I think I was pregnant when I rebranded to Adapt. And I like my pregnancy was not planned, and that completely sideswiped me
That was adapting.
onto my, and I had to adapt my whole life. I had to sell up the gym and go online, and well, I didn't have to, but it made sense. And this whole year, like becoming a mum and being a business owner and all the things that come with that, adapting is like the main word that you need to be able to like you need to do. And it's difficult, and like obviously I've got coaches, like coaches still need coaches. Like we're not
Well, we do. We do.
magical human beings that know all the answers. We're just the same as everyone else, but you need to go through different motions. You need to learn your lessons in order for you to be able to like adapt in ways that are beneficial and that actually work well for you.
Yeah, and I think like the way that we network and the way that like we communicate and things that we can adapt because it's like, oh Mel, I've got a question, maybe you can, or I need some advice or something. Like, you know, you've got that option. Because I
Hmm.
remember getting asked, it was a couple of months ago, and I got asked by a girl, and she was like, do you need a coach? And I was like, oh my god, like,
Yes.
I was like, see if I was to turn around and say, I'm going, you know, I'm going out my own. I know for a fact I would be in a bit
Hmm.
of a rut. I would be back to square one. I wouldn't do, you know, I wouldn't
Yeah.
force myself to go to the gym, for example. I wouldn't challenge myself. You know, I would sit in my arse and watch Netflix, to be quite honest. You know, like, and you think, no, you need, like, obviously you have to adapt with the way that you exercise if you're injured or something like that, or, you know, adaptive.
Hmm.
Like, for me, like, I don't know when the next person is going to pass away. I don't know when the phone, you know, like, when the phone's going to ring.
Yeah.
Um, so I've got to be prepared for that. So I've got to adapt at the drop of a hat.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
my adaptation is slightly different to yours, but you know, we're raising the awareness that no matter what, that adaptation is something we all have to do, whether it's now
Yeah.
being a mum, whether it's both being business owners, both, you know, we there is a sense of responsibility to our clients, but you know, we want to practice what we preach
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
well. And we're just
100%.
showing our clients that we are just an everyday individual as well who is trying to do their best for whatever that means for both of us as individuals. So it's like a constant circle. It just
Oh yeah.
the
I think
circle
even the
gets
best
poked at every
coaches,
time.
even the best coaches in the world still should have a coach. Like there's always an area for improvement. There's always ways where you can make yourself better and you can learn more and stuff like that. So yeah, I do agree. I think we all need somebody there in our corner that can challenge us but can also help like nurture us when we need
Yeah,
it.
a big cuddle would be lovely. A big cuddle and a
Aye.
big hot water bottle would be nice. But everything that you've learned this year,
Mhm.
what's next? What's have you got a goal in mind? Have you got something that you want to achieve? Is you know, is it giving you like a different determination to be like, oh wow, I want to do that, or just give you a focus of being the best you can be?
And just generally in a personal context in business and anything.
Anything that comes to mind for Mel. Anything.
So, well, obviously, it has only been 14 months since I had a baby, right? And it takes a while. You don't actually realize how long it takes your body to get back to. It's not
You
going to, I
spoke
don't
about
think it
that,
ever
yep.
gets
You
back.
spoke about that recently on your Instagram, didn't you?
I
Yeah,
did.
you shared about
It,
it.
it's not even like from a fat loss sense. I just mean like, see, obviously, like all your internal organ, everything moves and it all has to move back into place. And then your strength, the strength goes so fast. So there is a sense of like you have to build yourself back up. So personally for me, I'm on a journey of I want to get strong again, like even better than before, but building that strength back up, and just taking my health and fitness to another level. Like I'm excited about that. It's just much harder because you've got less time and you've got much more responsibilities and stuff like that. And that's through that learning process for myself, then that's what I can then give to my clients because I will show people that it is doable and you can get yourself into amazing shape and still have kids and run a business and stuff like that. And that's where my determination, my resilience will
Well,
shine.
you are already doing that. You're just wanting
Yeah,
to do it in that higher level. I was going to say,
yeah.
do you think some clients would be really good babysitters? I'm just off the top of maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, but you know, what are you doing tonight? Yeah, you know.
I know.
But yeah, it's not. You know, you're not doing anything superficial or changing anything. You're just using all your experience and knowledge now, and your adaptations and
Hmm.
determination, and just being Mel on a different level.
Yeah,
You know, you're a new Mel
yeah,
because you've got a different title now than you had before,
definitely,
and
definitely.
that's exciting. Like, what would you say, like, for anyone, you know, that's not long had a baby, or you know, it's scaring them, or you know, giving a bit of fear or anything like that? Like, what kind of message to give to a fellow woman that's career driven or is in the similar position to you, or try to run business or try to be career driven, but you know, they have a little angelic young
Yeah.
person running around as well?
It is doable. It absolutely is doable. But I don't think I could have done it if I didn't have a coach. So if you're on your own, you don't have a coach or a mentor or someone there guiding you, you're going to find it very, very difficult, because the emotional side of things that you don't expect, that you can't prepare for, the sleepless nights. It's not even like the relationship between you and your partner changes as well a wee bit. For me, there was a lot of resentment there, because you realise how much as a woman your life has to change, and that the men's don't really need to change that much in comparison. So for me, there was a lot of resentment there, because, as I said, like, my pregnancy wasn't planned. I liked my life the way it was.
Yeah.
Like, I
You've
don't
always
feel like
said
I was
that to
lying to
me.
this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved
No, no, yep.
it.
You
So
you
there
were
was a
open
bit
about
of
that,
like,
yeah.
that grieving process, and I'm just like watching him going about his business, like, you an arsehole.
Poor Ross.
I know he's had it tight, but so there's all that to go through as well. So when you're dealing with all that stuff and you're running a business at the same time, if you are on your own and you don't have a coach or a mentor or someone there helping you, who's kind of can understand like where you're coming from, then it's going to be very difficult, right? And you're going to feel very alone. But it is doable, and that's what you've got to remember. Like, I think it's very easy, because you only know what you know, right? And it's very easy for you to have that child, and that's what I done. And then I tried to live the way I lived and then fit her into it, which doesn't work. Right? And you have to, I basically went from having all the hours in a week to run my business to having 12 hours a week to run the same business. So you can't do things the same as what you've done before. You need to learn new ways that are going to work for you, instead of having it all working against you, trying to fit yourself into, is what I've been saying, like, trying to fit a square peg into a circle hole. And I've done that for a lot of the time this year, until it was like penny dropped, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, there needs to be some sort of give here. I need to start doing things differently. And it's all starting to kind of fall into place now. There's always room for adjustments, but yeah, that's what I would say.
I
I don't
think
even know
that
if
is a strong, powerful. No,
you know
I
that
think that's
way,
a
like,
strong,
I
powerful
keep
message.
talking and I'm like, have I even answered that question? I feel
Yeah.
like I keep going off in tangents.
No, yeah, that is a one strong, powerful message, and everyone that comes on the podcast always finish with asking them, "What's your superpower?"
Oh, my superpower.
And
Super.
yeah, and I'm gonna ask you to not. It's not allowed to be your determination, because
Yeah.
by this conversation you've already explained to me and everyone listening that clearly that is a superpower. So something different than your determination. What else do you think is and not your work ethic either? Something
Right.
something different.
My superpower. I think. Let me think about this one.
It's a hard
My
question.
it
Hard
is
question.
it is my superpower. I think I'm a natural leader. Like, I
Ooh,
think
okay.
I in any situation, and I probably work quite well under pressure, but in any situation, I can take a kind of leadership approach. Like, if, I don't know, the building was burning down, I had to get everybody, I would take on that, like, right, come on, this is what we're doing, and I would
Yeah.
become that leader just naturally. It would just happen.
Yep.
And I think in life in general, just, yeah, I'm a natural leader. That's my superpower.
That's such
I'll
a
lead,
that is a such a different superpower. Wow.
I'll lead
Yeah.
everybody to battle.
Yeah. So
If we need to go to battle.
the next house fire or whatever, think someone channel that in our mail. Oh yeah, everybody out, let's go. Yeah. I think I would agree with that. I think your natural would, so like in that situation you would, your determination would come in, your work ethic would be like, right, you've got to think clearly under pressure, you've got to, be a bit blinkered, be straight to the point, and get shit done basically. So I think,
Yeah.
I think it sums it up well. And for anyone that wants to give you a follow or stalk you, like I seem to clearly I'm admitting here, can follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. I do plan on getting round to getting onto all the different platforms. Not quite made that there yet, but yeah, Instagram and Facebook I'm on. Instagram's probably the main one that I use. Um, yeah, I need to get out there and get onto different platforms, but
I think we all could say that. But Mel, thank you so much for joining me, giving an insight and giving everyone else an insight to know that becoming a mum might be the hardest thing in the world, equally rewarding, but it just shows that you can adapt and you can be capable of absolutely anything if you just take a minute to be kind and be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's such a nice message to any fellow mum. So Mel, thank you so much.
No worries. This has been a pleasure. Thank you.